Just second. Have a session on ontap cluster setup. So before we do the ontap cluster setup, we have to do some prerequisites. Okay, so you have to get the pre-checks or the initial requirements. I would say requirements. So you have to give the cluster management, IP, cluster live, port, the port that you're going to connect with. Okay, you have to get node lives port, subnet mask, gateway. You have to get the licenses. Okay, basically NetApp recommends that we use system manager to configure the new clusters. System manager will provide a very simple workflow to set up the cluster. Okay, so you can set up the cluster and then you can create a local TS, which is nothing but the aggregates. You can configure the protocols and you can provision the initial storage. Okay, but if you have ontap versions like in back in 2015 or 16, when you have ontap 9.7, at that time we had to use the CLI to configure the cluster. Okay, but now we can use the GUI also. Okay, so when you try to set up the cluster, we have to gather some informations that we require to configure the cluster. We have to get the, like, first initially what I do is we'll configure one node and then we'll create the cluster on the first node and then we'll join the other nodes on the cluster. Okay, so we have to prepare a cluster setup worksheet, and in the cluster setup worksheet we have to mention that our cluster network ports, private cluster network ports, cluster network net mask, cluster interface leaf. Okay, and the IP addresses of both the nodes. If it's a two node cluster, it has to be on the same subnet. And for the cluster you have to get the cluster name. It can be like it has to be less than 44 characters, and you have to get the licenses that you require. Suppose you need to have advanced IP partitioning enabled, then you need to have the license. Okay, and then what you have to do is you have to, for the node management leave, you have to get the node management IP address, gateway, subnet mask, and for the cluster management also same thing you have to get. Okay, and also you need to get the DNS informations and NTP informations. NTP information, NTP server, what it does, it synchronizes the time. Okay, it synchronizes the time across the cluster, so you have to get the NTP information also. Okay, NTP info. Okay, cluster setup worksheet. Okay, please accept people, whoever is, yeah, I think 5 people have joined. Okay, so these are the things, basically prerequisites that you have to get for the cluster setup worksheet. Okay, you have to do that. So what is the thing that we do, what are the steps that we follow to install the ontap, to create the cluster? First we'll assign node management IP address. Okay, then the first step, then we'll create the we'll I would say that initialize the cluster. Then we'll create local tiers, which are nothing but aggregates, local tiers, and then we'll configure protocols. Okay, and then we'll provision the initial storage. Okay, allocate initial storage that we want. Okay, so these are the things we do. Okay, and let me also show you one more thing. We go here. So these are basically when I did the basic sessions for the storage, right? After the storage basic sessions, I discuss about the NetApp network, the internal architecture, how the data flows and everything. So here also I discuss, but here again I will discuss. So you have to do the network cabling. You have, as per the recommended or best practices, you have to separate the traffic into different networks. Like you have to have different networks for cluster network, management network will be different, and data network will be different. Okay, so you need to cable the cluster in such a way that cluster traffic is on a separate network from the management and data network. Okay, so your network management traffic, it has to be separated from the data and intercluster traffic. Intercluster is nothing but your internal communications traffic. Okay, intercluster I would say. Okay, when you have separate networks, your performance will improve. Suppose I'm using the same port for both my data and intercluster, right? So when I have more, like say if shares are using a lot of bandwidth, lot of throughput, then at that time it will impact the cluster network. Okay, we don't want that. We don't want that. Okay, so that is the reason we need to have separate network for data intercluster to achieve better performance, and also it will improve the security because the networks are different. Okay, so if you check here, right, you can see here you see the each node, right, all the nodes are connected to three distinctive networks. Okay, cluster network, management network, and data network. So this network is management. So whenever you see like cluster management leave, node management leave, all these things are defined here. Okay, when you log in, you access that, you are accessing to this management switches only. Okay, so here you are seeing one, yeah. Okay, so basically you have the data network connection also here. Okay, so data network connection is nothing but this is to access the client data. If you have CFA shares, NFS exports, iSCSI, these are all for data network. Okay, okay. So when you are creating the setting up the cluster, you can set up the cluster without defining any data network connections. You can do that later point of time also. But you have to define the cluster interconnect connections. Without these interconnect connections, you cannot create the cluster. So these are HA interconnect. So these are two nodes part of a HA pair. This is HA interconnect. This is also HA interconnect. Okay, and this is cluster network. So this is dual switch configuration I'm showing. Dual switch. Okay. So whatever replicated database is replicated, right? So it will go through, it will go through this cluster network. Okay, RDB replicated through this. So you can see one view of data from all the nodes. Every node can see one view of data, so that data is consistent. Okay, so you'll have always two or more cluster connections. Okay, from each node you'll always have it. Okay, at least dual network you need to have, not only one. Okay, so that you have to do. Okay, so in interview they'll ask you what is the network that you use for the CFS and NFS shares. What is the network? You have to say data network. Your data and management network can be same. In my project it is same, we are using same ports sometimes. Okay, but cluster network has to be different. The cluster network is part of cluster broadcast domain and cluster IP space. Data is default broadcast domain and default IP space if you have not created, if you do not have any confirmed multi-tenancy. Okay, you'll be able to understand my things. People who have joined in the middle, if they do not have any network knowledge, prior network knowledge, it will be difficult for them to understand. But once you revise my lessons, what I have shared, or join my upcoming batches, you'll be able to understand. Okay, so let me just try this. Okay, let me just go ahead and create all these things. Okay, so we have to sometimes we'll get to a requirement like we have to set up the ontap cluster. Okay, and sometimes we have a requirement like add the nodes to it or even the nodes, so this kind of requirements will come, but this thing will be part of L3. Not everyone will get the chance to do it. Okay, but before doing all these things, I told you that how to set up the cluster setup worksheet. Here one of our students, Praveen, he got this work to do. He did it like last week, I think. He had some AFF 250 array installed. Installation was there, so he asked me for the prerequisites and everything. I told him, and he got all the ports, all the things. And because he was not able to find that VLAN of that existing data network, I asked him to get some other network, and then you can do that. It's not a problem. You just have to, for the iSCSI, you just have to map it, remap it, I would say. Okay. So here, once you do the cluster setup worksheet, you'll have all the informations gathered that you require. Whenever you do the cluster setup, it will ask in the prompts. Okay, and then you have to do the cabling in the hardware. You have to connect the power. You have to configure the disk ships connections. All these things you have to do. Okay, so let me just try and do this. Okay, let me just first log into, first suppose it's powered on, the nodes are powered on, let me to log into the console. Okay, console of a node. Okay, so you have to connect your laptop to the serial port, serial port of NetApp, the console port, and you can access, you can configure from there. Okay, you can do that. So let me just log in here. Wait for some time. Why it's not coming? It should come actually. Yeah. So basically, I got the cluster setup wizard. Okay, so I'll configure the my first node's TCP/IP settings. Okay, I'll do that. So let me confirm as yes. I'll continue. I have to keep the node management interface port. Okay, I'll choose it at E0C, default one. The node management IP address, which should be in my cluster setup work list. I will get this from the network team. 192. Net mask gateway. So now I can see that use your web browser to complete the cluster service is this. So I can use this. Okay, but let me set up the other node also. One second, let me log in here. Yes, yeah, I'll see the same port, it's no problem. It must be 24. K2 is 0.1. So I will access, yeah, fine. Okay, so here we are connecting the laptop with the serial console. So we are able to do the cluster setup through the command line. But NetApp requires that you should do this using the GUI. You should use this using the graphical user interface or the browser web method. Okay, because if you do that, it is very easy to do that. Okay, so that's why NetApp recommends it. So let me do that. One second, let me go here to this Mozilla Firefox. Okay, so in this activity what we'll do, we'll set up, create a new cluster. We'll set up the single node, single cluster, and then we'll add the node. Okay, so let me do that. Okay,
Well, after connecting serial port to the node, how to access that port location? There won't be any IP address, right?
your voice is not audible. Your voice is little bit, can you put typed in the message?
Sure, sure.
I don't know why it's taking time, I guess. I need go back or what? I probably did go back, I think. Accept the disk and continue. Will come. I showed you right how to configure the SSL certificate in Occam, right? So basically, if you do not have this certificate, so what ONTAP will do? ONTAP basically generates a self-signed certificate, right? So that the system manager can utilize that SSL to establish a secure SSH, secure HTTP connection, okay, session, okay. But these web browsers, right, Mozilla, they do not trust this SSL self-signed certificates. That's why you'll get an a warning here, okay. That is the thing. That's why getting the accept and risk can continue. That's all, okay. So let me just log in. Did you type your message, bro? Okay. No, no. You are just connecting your laptop, right? So you'll get that thing. You'll get that thing actually. So IP and all, you'll get it. You have to configure it. It's not like you'll accessing from the IP. You have to configure it. It will give you once you logged into that, right? Your boot thing will come. Booting process will come. It's not showing here. I'm not showing the booting process here, but boot process will happen. Okay. In the boot process, you have to keep the IPs and all. In the when the boot happens, you have to give the IPs, everything you have to give, and then you can access. So you have to give the IPs in the boot process. Okay. Admin. And, just give me 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Just give me 1 second. Let me stop sharing. Okay. So I think this one is just there probably. Yeah. So let me log in here. Okay. One healthy node is found. That is fine. Okay. So it's spinning actually. So we just will wait for some time because it will show two nodes. Just wait for some time. Okay. Wait for 2 minutes. Yeah, two healthy nodes are found, right? Good, good, good. So you can see that two healthy nodes are found. That's fine. So now we have to give the system name, password, and all everything we need to set up. Okay. So let us set up. So this is the cluster name. Okay. Now we have to give the cluster management leaf. Okay. That is fine. So we gave the node management leaf and for node 1, node 2. That is okay. DNS also, as I said in the worksheet, right? You need to get the DNS informations. If you have two DNS server, that's better. If you do not have, then it's okay, but you'll have single point of failure. So let me just add the DNS domain here. So it's the IP of the DNS server. Let me go down. Yes, we need to give the NTP for the time synchronization between the nodes. Okay. Let me keep the NTP 192. Okay, so I think it's all good. Let me just submit it. It will take 5 minutes. Just wait for some time.
So this all information network team will give to us, IP address and all.
Yeah, you have to get it from the network devices. They have to do the, first you have to get the data personnel, so they will basically take help of your data center manager, data center team, and they will mount it on the rack. They will do the cabling and all, disk cabling, like disk shelf cablings, connecting to
So
the.
so this IP address you randomly entered, right? It will work or how it will be?
This is not a random IP address. You have to get a free IP address from network team. You are using network switch, right? While you are connecting, right?
Yeah.
You are using, see, your switches, your intercluster switches, we will buy it from NetApp, which will be like
Okay.
Cisco Nexus switches. But management switches and data switches, data network and management network, those things will be configured by network team only.
Okay.
So they will give it
You got these IPs from network.
network team. Your management IP and this IP will get from the network team.
Okay.
Hmm. Some questions? Okay, okay. Wait for some time. One of our, one of our student like Palash Goswami, okay, he changed his job. He's now, I'm not disclosing the company, but he changed his job for NetApp, okay. So previously he was working on some other technology. So he got a job. So his joining date is on third or fifth, I think. I think third probably. 3rd of March. Mosquito. Just go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. So in meantime, right, I'll ask you guys some questions to understand whether you guys are reading or not. Okay. So Vijay, what is advanced drive partitioning? Vijay? Okay. Let us accept that is continue because it's a self-signed certificate, right? So Mozilla Firefox, they do not, trust this thing. So let me just log in here. Irina, can you say what is advanced drive partitioning?
Mm, no, sir, I don't remember now.
It's a first class advanced drive partitioning. If you have the RAID DP for the root volumes, node root volumes, I mean node root aggregates, then you're losing lot of space. So that's why NetApp has implemented a new way where you can save some space. I have one small root partition and two data partitions. Okay, anyway, so I don't need this now. I can close it. Not a problem. Okay, close this. Okay, close this. Okay. So now what I can do is, you know, I can do a lot of things. I can add the licenses, I can prepare the story like create aggregates and all. So those things I can do. Okay, so let me just, here I see an error. That's fine. Let me check what is the error showing. Okay, because I was doing that right, so it was doing takeover in all these things. Okay, what is active IQ, Rina or Jaychand? What is active IQ? Can you anyone tell me what is active IQ?
Hello.
Can
Yeah,
Yeah, what
integrate the cluster into the QIQ for monitoring purpose.
it is used
yeah, and
for
also,
monitoring
yeah,
purpose.
yeah, and also suppose you want to do upgrade, and you have you can check, you want to create the upgrade plan, then you can log into the active IQ and then you can create reports from there. You are just have to log into the ontap like NetApp support. From there you can go to the active IQ AIQ. Okay, so let me check the cluster that we have created. Overview. So this is the versions 9.14. You can see the DNS, your leaf and all, NTP servers, everything. You can see here these are the two nodes which are part of the HA pair. You can see here. You can check the serial number, system ID, everything here. Uptime utilizations, everything you can check here. Okay. Let me go to the dashboard. Okay. Now what you can do is, we can prepare for the storage. We can have the, you know let me check what are the tiers we have. We can add the local TS here. Okay, so let me just do one thing. Accept. Let me. So these IPs are basically automatically assigned by NetApp. These are private IP addresses. Okay, it is for internal communications. We do not get this IP from network team. Okay, but these are the IPs that we get from the network team. These are only management IPs. So here we have not getting data leaves here. Okay, only the intercluster leaves. Okay, the cluster management, the cluster management and node management leaves are there. Okay, and if you see the aggregates like the storage, right? So here show, you see here these are the days, these are the aggregates are there. So you can see here these are the root aggregates, basically aggregate 0 and aggregate. So this will have the on-tap operating system of that particular node, and also you'll have the AUDX MDX volume, which is nothing but if you have enabled the audit auditing on the file service on the volume level, then you can have this volume here. Okay, on this aggregate, and these are basically data aggregates. Okay, and by default it will create RAID DP. So guys, what are the RAIDs that are supported by NetApp?
RAID 4, RAID Tech, and RAID DP.
Very good, very good. RAID 4, RAID Tech, and RAID DP. So by default, what you will get?
RAID DP.
That's good. And what is write penalty?
Uh, like how many disks we afford to lose?
No, just go
No,
through my
no.
session. Okay. So
I will.
there,
Okay.
yeah, I have explained write penalty and how to calculate the write penalty for RAID 5, RAID 6, and RAID 4. It will have lesser write penalty. I mean RAID DP and RAID TEC. Even though it is having like same kind of parity. So and then diagonal, you will have two type of parity: sequential parity and diagonal parity. So it's all these things you read. Okay, because sometimes depending on an interview, they will ask, and they will also ask about epsilon and quorum, which I have discussed. Okay, they will ask you these questions during the interviews. Okay, so now we'll go work on, to add the on tap licenses. Okay, add with the, because there are, yeah, Jaychan, can you tell me how many types of licenses are there in NetApp, and can you explain them? How many types of NetApp licenses, on tap licenses are there?
Right now, not remember that. It is code
Cluster,
cluster like cluster
cluster
wide.
wide license, node based license, and evaluation license.
Yes, sir.
So basically, the protocol license are node-based license. Okay. Suppose you have, you have installed the license on both the nodes, and you are, replacing the controller because it is having some hardware faults. So it is replacing now. It has replaced. Then again, you have to install license. Until unless you install the license, the shares which has been migrated or which has been failed over to the other node in the HA pair, it cannot be given back to its original owner. Okay, until unless you have installed the licenses there, because it's node based license, not cluster based license. Okay, I mean the protocols. So one of the company like TPM Guru, they reached out to me on the same issues. So initially they wanted me to do work there part time. I thought it will be good opportunity, so I said yes. But then I saw that they're working on old products like which are like So I said no. Then I didn't, but still I helped for free. Actually, one or two times I helped for free. I didn't charge any money for them. So just the person called, but now I don't help them actually. So but what they do, they're very smart. They have his company. The CEO is earning a lot, so he has like 20 or 30 employees. So they will go to different places and install the disk, and they will support the storage which is not supported by the vendor, which is end of life. So the CEO, I mean the owner is always, getting a lot of benefit. So anyway, so let me do that. Let me add the license. Okay, we can add the license using CLI or GUI. It's not a problem. Let me search license, add licenses. Let me browse it. Okay, it will be somewhere. So this is for different node, right? You know that 70 and 71 is different node, right? You can when I showed you that cluster overview, right? You saw that 70 and 71. So just add. It is adding the license. Okay. So if you go here and just do license, sorry, license show, you see all the licenses that I added, right? You can see the serial number 71 and probably that one is 70 probably.
These
70.
these licenses, while buying the device, they will give, right? Or we need to buy separately.
I'm not sure because I was never involved on this activity because our client, they do not disclose what they are paying for. So I'm not sure.
And
Probably,
generally, how it will be.
I think you probably have to buy it. Suppose I don't think NetApp will
It
give
is
you each and every license.
installed with the NetApp devices only.
NetApp devices only, but probably you have to buy the license also. I think like with device only they might get it, but
Okay. Some IBM storage by default, while buying the device, they will give us. If you want more
I
performance
think
or
some yeah,
more, we
some
need
by
to buy.
default they might give, yeah, like NFS, CIFS, ISKS, FC, but for Snap Center, all these things probably. I don't think they
Okay.
ransomware. Maybe they'll charge something.
Okay.
And V is this is for encryption. I will show you this guys in one of the classes. How to do encryptions. Okay, so let me do one thing. So we have installed the license, we have configured the tiers. Now we have to configure the protocols. Okay, so let me go to the dashboard. Because in dashboard only you'll have everything. Yeah, so go to the network. Okay, so here you can have the protocols. Okay, so you can create your data SVM here. Okay, if you want to create, you can create and you can enable the protocols here, whatever the protocols you want to enable. Okay, so let me go here, come here. SVM 0 is fine. 1 second. Why it's not coming? Just clicking on it, not coming. Okay, no issue. Okay, so let me just enable the protocols. Okay, So we can have CIFS protocols, okay? And here when you enable the CIFS protocol, right, so the first thing you have to do is you have to create the CIFS server, okay? So I showed you using CLI. So this is the UI part, which is very easy. This username, this credentials, you will not have it. You have to just share your screen with your Wintel team and they will put the AD admin credentials, okay? So that you can authenticate the domain with it. So whenever you do CFA shares and everything, it has to be authenticated by the domain. So administrator password. Now I'll give the CFA server name, okay? Even if I give smaller case, when I do CFA server should will come in uppercase, okay? Active Directory domain, I will get this thing from the Wintel team only. So demo, working in storage is much more rewarding and much more interesting compared to cloud, I would say. So netapp.demo.com, yeah. So organization, it depends on the project, okay, this thing, okay. Yeah, leave it as default. Name servers also is taking automatically, that's fine, okay. That is okay. If you want to enable NFS, we can enable NFS also, not an issue, okay. We can allow the NFS client access, okay. We have to add the export policy rules in the default export policy. So we'll give like read-only access, read-write access, super user access, everything will give, okay. It's not a problem. Now I want every host in the domain to access, to have access on this, so I will not restrict to anything. So for that I will give this one without any IP. So I'm not restricting to anything, okay. So let me just give read-write access, fine. So let me just go down here, that's fine, save it, okay. Now here, okay, if you want to do S3, you can give S3 also. This is for object storage, okay. So related to S3 or object storage, I'll show you the storage grid product here. I'll show you how to create tenants, buckets, all these things, and I also show you the ILM policies, information lifecycle management policies, and also show you the cross-grid application while I configure the storage grid, okay. But that will be some other session. So here I'll give the server name. So this is the server name, okay. So S3. So port number 443 has to be open because when you access the bucket, storage buckets, you have to use HTTPS colon and then that API, okay. You have to use that. So that is okay. System generated, that is okay. That is fine. Let me go here. Default language, yes, it is okay. Now yeah, so you need to add the network interfaces here, okay. So the network interface leaves the one through which your clients will access the storage, okay. So this is the path that you need to give, okay. So these are basically nothing but the data leaf, okay. So here the NETA basically recommends that you need to have at least one network interface per cluster node, okay. So it is advisable, because otherwise suppose I would talk about SAN. In SAN what happens, your leaves they do not get migrated like in NAS, okay. So you have to rely on the what is HDLM, what is power path, what is DSM, MPIO. So you have to rely on the multipathing, okay. So you can have either native multipathing or proprietary multipathing. Native means it will come with the OS, like Windows it is MPIO, Linux it is multipath D. So and if you use NetApp, then you use DSM, okay. And also there was another failover software of NetApp, so which I showed you right in all the sessions. I don't remember the name now. You can download from the NetApp support site, so we can also use that, but normally people use the native one only, okay. So now I'll use the data. If you see here, right, net int show, you can see that you do not have any data leaf, okay. You see here, you have the cluster leaf, you have the node management leaf, and you have the cluster management leaf. Okay. So you enter the diagnostic mode. We are checking the V servers. We have the system V server for internal communications, admin V server, node V server. These are for management purposes. Okay. And then we have this. So see, same. Okay, cluster, node, and cluster management. That is okay. Yeah. We do not have any data leaves. Okay, so let us configure the data leaves. Okay, so previously I showed you using CLI. So this is the GUI, which is very easy to do. Normally it is recommended for the beginners in storage to use GUI, because your end goal is to get the task accomplished without any manual errors. It doesn't matter how we do it. Okay, we are not doing algorithm or complexity here, time complexity or memory leak. Okay, so we are just doing simple work. So here this is gateway and all these things. Broadcast domain is always be default. Your cluster broadcast domain, right? It won't be, it will only be for intercluster communications, not for data. For data it has to be the either the default broadcast domain or any custom broadcast domain that you create. Okay, I will use the same subnet. Control C, Control V. Okay, and port, yeah, automatically I'll select the port. That's not a problem. If I want to select the port, that is fine. I can select it. It is okay. Save it. So it is now confirm the protocols. Okay. Wait for a second. Here there is a secret key that you can copy it, because when you try to access that S3 bucket, you have to give this access key and everything. Or if you use some users, create some users for that, then that users will be allowed, but this you have to download. Okay, if you want to access, so you have to save it. It will only give the first time. Okay, yeah, that's good. So now if you do net in show, you'll see something more output. Okay, so I have these outputs. Okay, so different clusters, so different nodes have created this leaf. Okay, so that is there. Okay, you are able to understand, right? So you have to go through my you have to go through my earlier sessions to understand more in detail. You have to give some time or wait for some time for this batch to be over. So I will start new. Okay, that's not a problem. Okay, so we'll also talk about one more thing today apart from this, which is a new thing. It is flexcache. Flexpool also will configure in my later sessions. So what is basically cache? The cache is there to improve the performance. Cache, read heat, write heat, those are important. Okay, so flexcache is nothing but is a caching technology like other storages we have. So it will have the writable replicas of the volume. It can be located on the same clusters, on different data clusters. Okay, so if you have a enterprise company like big company and many locations, and you want faster response, so we can use flexcache. So it will cache the data and files to the clusters, to the users location, so that it can give you better or faster throughput. Okay, cache is nothing but it's like kind of like RAM we use in laptop, right? So it's basically temporary storage location. So your host, whenever the host is accessing data, and if it's in the cache, then it will give the processing better. And if it has to stay the data from the disk to host, cache, then the performance will be 4 times slower. Okay, so basically what is the objective of the cache? The objective of cache is to store the data in such a way that the data can be served faster. Okay, through read it and write it mechanisms. Okay, so basically cache improves both read and write operations, but this flex cache is mainly used for read intensive environments. Okay, So for the flex cache, we need to have the capacity based license. So let me check the license. Show. Okay, we have the license somewhere. Okay, it's not a problem. So basically, yeah, flex cache. When I did back in 2000, 15, 16, we need to have a license, I guess. So it should show here flex cache. And flex cache, it's basically but nowadays I think it's not required, that's why it's not showing. But it used to show, okay. And the flex cache in my environment, I do not have any I do not use flex cache, but I used to use back in 2015 16 when I was part of when I was in Hyderabad. So we used it for a China environment. Okay, so we had to install the fixed cache license also, but now I think it's not required. Okay, so the standard ontap package, whatever they are having, right? This flex cache license is bundled with that package, so we no longer required. Okay, so now we'll do one thing. We'll create a flex cache volume from a data volume. Okay, and we'll check. We'll explore more things about that. Okay, so let me check what are the volumes we have here. 1 second. Storage volumes, have some volume for sure. Unload volume is there, no problem. Let me create a volume. Okay, all it. I'll also give one troubleshooting session at the end of the session where I'll tell you how to recover from the cluster corruption, and whenever your node root volumes are deleted, how to get it back or how to recreate it, and also the root volumes of your V servers, and also many other things. So anyway, so it's not there. I think SVM0 probably. Okay, volume is test underscore data state online. What would be my security style? I'll keep it as NTFS, so let us put it as NTFS. Policy, this is policy, that's fine. And junction path, I'll keep it as slash test underscore data. Retro is fine. State online. I want to store efficiency. So efficiency with deduplication and completion. State online I've already given. Yeah, I need to give the aggregate, obviously. Aggregate. I'll get the aggregate, which is the data aggregate. Okay, so I created that one. All should show that, or here you can just refresh it a little bit here and there. Yeah, it came already. So this is the volume that we created. Okay, suppose you want to create a volume for flex cache, right, only for the reading cache purpose, so you can do that. So that is the normal volume, data volume that we created. Now we'll create a flex cache volume. Okay, cache 1. Let's see, 1 GB I'll create. Okay, yes, no problem. Okay, yes, 1 second. Add as a cache for the remote volume. Okay, so we're using this. So here we have to give the the cluster name, the SVM name, and the volume name that we'll use it for. The volume we already have, which is test data. We can use that. Okay, so here you need to have, when you are doing this, right, suppose you are doing caching from one volume which is located in one V server, and the cache value you want to keep it in some other vServer, then you have to do the vServer peering for that. Okay, otherwise it will not happen. Okay, so you need to create the cluster peer. If you have using if you're doing this flex caching between two different clusters, then you have to do the cluster pairing. Same cluster to different vServer, you have to do the vServer pairing. So like that. Okay, you have to do. Okay, let me go down. Storage optimization, that is fine. 1 GB, so here it is 2 GB or what. Anyway, 1 GB, that is fine. Performance, what kind of performance do we want as per the tiering. So we bandwidth, so I'll go to it as value, which is the lowest one. Okay, here this is not allowed, means it's allowed for every host in the domain. That is okay, that is everyone full control. That is okay. Save. So it is doing it. Okay, show. Yeah, it is going on. It is queued basically, so let us wait. So I have created this cache volume. Okay, so just go down here, you can check here all the things, quota and all. I have not done this thing. Okay, no problem. Okay, so okay, problem. No, show detailed volumes. Yeah, 1 second. Show me something actually. View mode, this. Showing it. 1 second. Wait, let me just go here. Okay, so cache, we will go to this volume, check what it shows here. Okay, yeah, here cache. Yeah, see here the style is flex cache type. Okay, you can see here flex cache type. So this is not the normal, otherwise it will show as flex wall. Okay, go down, it should show somewhere. Go down. Here. Okay, you can see the flex cache details. Okay, so cluster one, you can see the original volume, you can see 100% of the original of the cache size. Okay, you can keep it less also. Like if I have chosen, instead of 1 GB I have chosen 500 MB, then it would have kept like 50% of the data, it will cache. Okay, and if you go here, like what is the original volume, that is so if you go to the all volumes. Okay, you can see here this is the original volume. Okay, test data. Okay, and if you go down, let's go down, you can see here. Okay, this is a flex cache volume, you can check. Okay, so that is a cache size, you can check 1.05 GB, because I kept it as 1 GB there. That's the reason. If I've got 500 GB, then it would have been 5.05 MBs, like that. In 05 you have to 0.05 you have to calculate in MB, so 525, like that it will become. Okay, this is the cache basically. This is improving your read performance. Okay, so
Any specific size we need to figure out
no,
regarding
it's
this?
nothing like that. You have to know your application, like what is, suppose you have volume of 20 GB, but you see that that data is like caching, that caching of data you want to keep it like 50 MB or something like that, 20 GB or 5 GB or something like that, so depending on that. Okay.
So initial stage they created the flash, this flash, or anytime we can, how it will.
Anytime we can. It's not initial stage. Anytime we can. It's not a problem. Anytime we can. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not a big deal. So you just have to keep that access and all, like the IP leafs and all. You have to put. Okay. So whatever vServer you're using, so those things has to be configured. Your vServer, your data leaf, all these things. Then you can do this. So basically, this flex cache.
Okay, so we're gonna do it. I did not buy it. Maybe it was too late to buy it, but let's see. Buy the thing was
Basically, the flex cache, you can. It's just not, it not only works in one SVM. Suppose you want to have volume on one SVM and you have to the cache on another SVM in the same cluster, you can do that. If you want to have the cache in the multiple different clusters, you can do that. If you have from on-premise to cloud, you can do that. Okay. You can do in different locations also. You can use the hybrid cloud architecture also for this. Okay. You can use this flex cache technology to cache the data across different sites, different places, and also cloud. And this will improve the performance a lot. You read improvements. Okay. And it will also reduce the one cost. Whenever we are enabling that flex cache feature for the remote side, it was showing that one cost feature, right? That was a notification was showing, right? So that is something. Okay. So these are the things we have discussed today about how to install the ONTAP, like how to configure. Now, not I would say the how to configure the ONTAP cluster. I would say not ONTAP is ONTAP OS installation, not that one, because for that we have to go to the booting and all. We do not have that thing. NetApp will do that. Okay. So what will be the next class? The next class will have on Tuesday. On Tuesday, okay, either Tuesday, okay. The next class will be uh, on migrations, okay. So how to do migrations from 7 mode to C mode. So we'll work on that, okay, using 7MD tool. And then we'll have one class on software defined storage array, which is ontap select. But unfortunately they have discontinued the lab for that, so I will just explain the concepts and also show what I did previously in my earliest batches. So I'll explain from the video so what I did, because they do not have the lab now, unfortunately, for this. Okay. And on-top select array is a very widely popular select array, because widely popular software defined storage, because sometimes what happens, you have probably bought that block storage array, but you do not want to spend money for the file storage. In that time, what you can use the existing block array, and you can use the on tap select, and you can convert the block to file. Okay, you can do that using the software defined storage array, but you need to have your ESX infrastructure for that. Okay. And even though you do not have the any external storage array, if you just have the local storage array of ESX like vSAN, still you can do that. And if you do not want to use ESX, you can use Nutanix also. So one of my students, Mahesh, who's working in Mindtree, I think, so he is using Nutanix. Okay, he is using Nutanix, and he's using Nutanix, and on the top of Nutanix he's using ONTAP select. Okay, so different projects using different things. And he got an issue when the Nutanix storage got filled, so he was getting reboot issues of his ONTAP select nodes, which is nothing but basically VMs. So there are a lot to learn. Okay. So, guys, do you have any questions before we wrap up for today? Do you have any questions?
Dayal, you will teach us about this learn-to-learn migration also. Let's assume, hello.
No, no, no. I will not teach you learn to learn migration. No.
No, let's assume we have the other we have the NetApp in our environment and other other storage is there in Dell, and we want to that copy the data from the Dell to NetApp. So how do we do that? It is possible with NetApp.
You have a thing like, which is foreign learn import. Okay, you can use that, but I've never used it. So you can just, I'll share you the documentation. You can read through it. It's not an easy task. Okay, foreign
You have
learn
mentioned
import.
in your syllabus also that right.
No, it's not there. Okay, so because no, that I did not think that it will be beneficial for you guys because it's not used much. Okay, it is not used. It is not popular for learn import because it is very complicated. That's why it's not popular. Okay. So I'm just showing you migrations, like I showed you many migrations using SVMDR, Metro cluster, and then 7MTT I'll show, and then cloud migration I'll show. So these are the things I'm showing. Okay, not foreign import. Okay, that is very different concept. And NetApp also, they do not have any labs for that, so it's not possible to show also how to do that foreign import. Okay, so we'll continue on Tuesday. Tuesday we'll have the session on 7MTT. Okay, and then we'll have session on ontap select, and all these sessions we'll have. Okay, okay, so chalo bhai. And what about Jaychan? Are you giving any interviews?
No, still not there.
Have you gone through all the sessions, like the previous sessions, revised it?
Okay, we'll do that.
Because I'm giving around like, I don't know, maybe 65 or so something. You have to just, yeah, just read this, all these things. You have to memorize, like you have to practice also, like Pritham from the L2 team is practicing on the simulator, right? Same thing you guys have to practice, because sometimes practice is important. Otherwise you will not get the confidence during the interview. If you do not have NetApp in your environment, you have to practice the simulator. Okay, chalo, then we'll connect on next class on 7MTT, 7 mode to C mode migrations. Normally nowadays 7 mode is not there, but still if you see the JD in JD in Naukri you'll never see foreign learn import. Okay, not even a single time, because no one is using it. But you will see Snap Center. So Snap Center I'll probably cover here in this batch or next batch. Snap Center I'll cover. So that is also, I got few trainees from Thailand. So they wanted the Snap Center. So I don't know why they want the Snap Center. It's a good technology only for the secret database. I'm not saying it's a bad technology, but still not widely used. Okay. Chalo, bye then. Huh? Bye.
Bye.